Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Peter Benz. I am the Director of Investment Management for Infinity Benefit Solutions. I am our primary team member that supports small businesses and nonprofits with all of the aspects of their retirement plan administration. And this morning, I'm going to be sharing with you what I feel are the top 5 considerations that an individual should make when thinking about their company's retirement plan. And to make sure we're on the same page, I really am putting myself in the shoes of a participant that is considering what's important when setting up their retirement plan account. And if you are an administrator at a business, hopefully this will be useful information to know what people are thinking about, or at a minimum, what they should be thinking about when setting up their retirement plan account. So the top 5 considerations are understanding the tax benefits available through a retirement plan, understanding the company match that is available from the employer, understanding the investment diversification that exists or is available through the retirement plan, knowing what access they have to advice to help them set their account up, and then last but not least, understanding the fees that come with participating in a retirement plan such as a 401k or a 403b. And we'll take all of these one at a time, but I do believe that they are equally important when it comes to really understanding what you can do and what you need to think about when setting your account up within a 401k or 403b plan. So to start off, we need to understand the tax breaks available to us. I really think this is the first most important thing for everyone to understand, and honestly will be the most complicated thing we talk about here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. But what's very important for everyone to understand is how to maximize the tax benefits or tax breaks that are inherent in a qualified retirement plan. And they take 2 different forms. All plans, guaranteed, are offering a pre-tax deduction or a pre-tax contribution as an option for participants to take. Most, and I say most because it is still only around 70%, but around 70% of all qualified retirement plans offered by an employer do allow for people to make what's called after-tax or Roth contributions. And as the plan participant, you get to decide which of these tax breaks you utilize. So it's very important to understand the difference because it could have very long-term implications on your success as a saver for retirement. So taking them one at a time, our pre-tax contributions, this is the old-fashioned way of saving for retirement. When they first created IRAs and 401k accounts 40, 50 years ago, pre-tax contributions were how it was done. And the way it works is you get a tax deduction, an income tax deduction, on the amount that you save. And so another way to think about that is the money that you save into your retirement account, the government treats it as if you did not earn that money. No taxes are due. It goes into the savings account, it goes into the investments within the account, it earns interest. And then in retirement, when you go to spend that money, you take it out of your savings to turn it into spending money, that is when the taxes are due. So as you see, it's important to understand a pre-tax savings today results in taxes being due later. And a general rule of thumb here is that if you are an older worker, closer to retirement, or you're in a higher tax bracket, typically I mean you're in a much higher wage earner, you would benefit typically from doing pre-tax savings. And again, I'm not your personal accountant. I can't say for sure which would be the right fit for any of you individually, but generally speaking, older and higher taxed individuals benefit from pre-tax savings today. The other option, though, is to pay your taxes now and do what's called Roth or after-tax contributions. So you pay all your income taxes, you get no tax break on the amount that you save, but the amount that goes into the savings begins to accumulate interest and grow and get substantially bigger over time. you get to spend tax-free in retirement. So you pay your taxes today in exchange for not owing anything more in taxes later. And because of the way that interest accumulates in these types of savings and investment accounts, which we'll talk more about later, you really tend to see younger folks that have more time to accumulate interest benefit from the Roth savings option. Also, if you're a lower wage earner, you're in a lower tax bracket right now, it costs you less to pay the taxes and do the savings than if you were in a higher tax bracket. And that's another argument in favor of doing Roth savings. If you have a low tax bill today, or you're very far away from retirement, very good chance that you would benefit from Roth savings and the tax-free interest you'll get down the road. So in its simplest form, you get to decide whether you pay your taxes now or taxes later on your retirement savings. And you could do both, to be honest. You could do some pre-tax savings today and some Roth savings today as well. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. If your company's retirement plan allows for both Roth and pre-tax savings, you could do a little bit of each. And in that scenario, you'd be paying some of your taxes now and some of them later, but not trying to get all of your tax obligation on your retirement out of the way either today or later. So again, something that in the end becomes somewhat something of an accounting question, and you may, if you work with an accountant, it may make sense to speak with them about which of these two options would make sense. But hopefully this gives you a better idea of how the two savings options work. And as you can see, a very important piece of understanding how to structure your retirement savings account. So moving on, I want to talk about something called the company match. Now, not all employers offer a company match, but a very important question to ask of your human resources department, or if you look through any of the disclosures associated with your retirement plan, understand if the company offers a match. And the way that a match works is some portion of the amount that you save out of your paycheck that goes into the retirement account gets matched by the employer, meaning they put extra money into your savings account just because you had good savings behavior. And typically the match is set up as some sort of a formula, usually capped as some sort of percentage of pay. So the example I give here is you get 50% or 50 cents on the dollar of all the money you contribute into the 401k or 403b up to 6% of your gross pay. So if your paycheck was $500 and you saved 30, the company would give you $15. You might also see something where it's dollar for dollar up to 2 or 3% of pay. And the big picture here is this is free money. This is extra money the company wants to pay to you for doing the exact same job. There's no expectation that you work extra hours, you take on any new role or responsibility. Nothing needs to be done in order to get this extra pay for the work that you're already doing, other than having good savings behavior. So what I tell everyone I work with, always, always, always save at least the amount you would need to get that full company match, because otherwise you are leaving free money on the table. You have earned it through the hard work that you're doing. You are certainly going to need it later in retirement. Make sure you understand your company's match formula and make sure you are saving at least enough to get that full company match. Next thing we need to think about is, how do I get access to the advice in my retirement plan? And this specifically has to do with the investments that are available to you. So when you think about your investments, you're now an investor in your 401k plan or your 403b, you're going to have a number of different choices available to you. They are going to range from very, very risky things like all stock funds, and they're going to go down to very low risk options like a bond fund that's earning interest, or even what they call a stable value fund with no risk of loss of any kind, but no expectation to really make any money either. And when you look at this, it's called investment diversification. You want to make sure that you have access, or you are investing in all of these different asset classes and different investment types. And that can be very daunting for most people. So what you need to do is understand what access you have to advice or support for setting up your retirement account. And all 401k plans nowadays, all company-sponsored retirement plans offer some form of resources available to help you with setting up your investments. We think we recognize as an industry that you don't necessarily have the time or the energy to become an investment expert just to set up a retirement savings account. So there are a lot of good resources available to you. And I have some of the most common listed out right here. There is access to what's called a dedicated plan advisor. And that would be honestly someone like myself who you could work with to become better educated on the different options available, make sure you understand the risks associated with the different investment choices. It can be a very valuable resource in helping you set up the appropriate mix to meet with your needs and long-term goals. For those that may not have access to an advisor or are hesitant to share some of their personal situation with someone else, most plans nowadays offer online tools or worksheets where you can help understand the level of risk that is appropriate for you personally, and then they will direct you how to set up your investments based on that information. Very much a self-directed experience, but you can get a very good, well-rounded investment mix using these online tools where think of it almost as a paint by numbers approach. They'll point you in the right direction. You just have to color in the bubbles. Another option that's very appealing to many, many people is to utilize what's called target date or target risk portfolios. And these are pretty nice because all you need to do to set these investments up is know either how much risk you want to take, and then you select that target risk and everything else gets done for you by the 401k companies, or you could say, I want to set up my investments based on my age, based on my proximity to retirement, and you would find the appropriate target date allocation. And what's great about these is that you can put all of your savings into one of these target date or target risk portfolios, and the investment experts do all the rest of the work. And the target dates are especially appealing because not only will they help you build an allocation that's appropriate today, target dates change over time. So as you become closer and closer to your retirement age, the amount of risk that you take becomes less and less, which is what the typical person would do. Take more risk, more stock market exposure when you're young, and much less so as you get closer to retirement. And last, there may be what's called a managed account program available to you. Now, typically these do carry with them some added expense, but it is a way to get really a customized mix of investments built for you and managed professionally by an investment advisor. And that may be done by your dedicated plan advisor or by a third party, but it really is handing off the keys completely to another person to help manage and maintain your investment mix. But big picture, guys, you do not have to do it alone. I cannot stress that enough. Do not let uncertainty about how to set up your investments be a reason not to save in the retirement plan, because there are a lot of great resources, I am sure of it, to help you answer that question of how do I structure my investments, and it allows you to focus on the important stuff like how much can I save and how can I do my job the best that I can. And as we close in on the home stretch here, I do think it is very important to understand the fees that you pay in a retirement plan. But I saved this for the last slide and the last consideration, not because I think it's the most important necessarily. In a way, I feel it's almost the least important, because the fees associated with a retirement plan, no matter what they are, will never outweigh the benefits of participating in that retirement plan. I think it's important to be knowledgeable about the fees. It's important to understand where they're going, but you should never, ever let the fees associated with a retirement savings account be an impediment to participating and becoming a saver for retirement. But all that said, the three big fees that you'll see with regards to setting up a retirement account, in particular, one within a 401k or a 403b account sponsored by an employer, are the investment expenses. So these are the actual cost of building the investment options. This is the cost associated with buying and selling the stocks or the bonds or the other investments that you own inside that retirement savings and investment account. And each option, if you were to look at your plan, you're going to see dozens, if not more, investments you can choose from, and each one carries a separate underlying investment expense. And some are very, very inexpensive, what they call index funds, where you're just buying a basket of things and you're keeping it. There's not a lot of moving parts. It's very, very cheap, almost practically no expense with regard to the investments, because nothing's really being monitored or sold. There are also what's called active investment options, where someone's building a custom portfolio to try and beat the stock market or to control the risk. Each option will have its own expense, and to really understand what those investment expenses are, you need to look through the fee disclosure that's provided to you annually as a participant in the retirement plan. But that is a cost that you cannot avoid. There will always be some expense associated with building out that investment mix, and it's just a matter of finding the right investment strategy that aligns with your long-term goals. Separate from the investment expenses, there will be what's considered a record-keeping expense. Don't want to get too complicated here, but essentially this is a fee that's collected by the 401k company to cover their costs. They're maintaining a website, they're generating statements, they're tracking your investment returns. There is cost associated with doing that, and typically, not always, but typically some portion of that expense gets passed through to the participants in the plan. And rule of thumb on the record-keeping expenses, the bigger the employer, the more people that participate in the plan, the lower those record-keeping expenses are on a per-person basis. So what does that mean? That means if you ever participated in a plan at a very, very large employer, it's a good chance that your fee or the expenses that you paid as a result were very, very low. If you work at a very small employer, there's a chance those expenses may be a little higher, but still should not be prohibitive from you participating in the plan. And the last fee I mentioned here is called distribution fees. These only apply if you, as the participant, take action to cause them. And distribution means you're taking money out of your retirement plan. And so that could be through the form of a loan against your balance, or you may be rolling the money out to go to a new, to move it to an IRA or your new employer, or you could be retirement age and you're taking distributions out of the account. These are typically, nominal fees of something like $50 to $100. It's just essentially a transaction fee. And I mention it because it speaks to one of the real important considerations about 401k or 403b plans. They are designed for saving. They are accumulation vehicles. So great way for you to save for retirement, not a great way to take money out incrementally in retirement, which is why you'll see many, many people take their retirement plan balances and consolidate them into IRAs, individual retirement accounts, because they are much better suited for distribution or spending, whereas 401ks, 403bs are very, very good for savings. So a few final thoughts now that we've talked about some of the high-level important considerations that everyone should be making when setting up their retirement account. First and foremost, we all need to save for retirement. I just cannot stress that enough. We all have to do it. Social Security, I don't think it's going anywhere, but it only replaces about a third of the money that you make while you're working. So if you have no savings on your own, you're going to be in a really, really tough spot when you reach the retirement age and you don't want to work 40, 50 hours a week anymore. And here's the good news. There really is no better place to do that, and by that I mean save for retirement, than your employer plan. And that's because it's very easy. Opening an account through your employer into a 401k is going to be much simpler than opening up an investment account on your own. The application process is quick, it's easy, there are very few moving parts, you can get it done in a matter of minutes typically. Once that's done, you have this automatic savings. Every single time you get paid, you're going to have savings happen because it goes directly into your savings account. You don't have to log in and initiate a transfer. You don't have to write a check. You're not going to the bank. All you have to do is show up, do your job, get paid, and you're going to be saving. And then if your company offers a company match, you are having that extra money on top of what you are saving going into your account, helping you get prepared for retirement in that time where you'll actually have the ability to dictate how much you work or whether you work. And the last thought, every little bit helps. You might not be able to do a ton of savings right now, and that's okay. Small amounts will add up. Even doing $20, $30 a paycheck, $50 a month, it turns into thousands of dollars over time. And the reason for that is the money you put in, it gets compound interest, which means all of the interest that you earn earns interest. And that's how $1 you invest today eventually doubles to 2. That 2 eventually doubles to 4. The 4 eventually doubles to 8. Well, all you invested in that scenario was that $1. And it eventually turns into 8 or 16 or more. And imagine you're not saving $1 each paycheck, but you're saving $100 a paycheck. And you don't just do that once throughout the course of the year, you're doing it 24 or 26 times throughout the year. So you start to get a sense for how big these numbers can get, even if you're doing just a small amount of savings each paycheck. And I will tell you, if you have never set up a retirement account before, you've never been a retirement saver, the hardest part is getting started. Changing from 0 to any other number, whether it's 1, 2, 10%, I don't care. Getting off of 0 is by far the hardest part. But what you'll find is once you start saving for retirement, you start to see that money accumulate, you start to really feel the positive effects of that compound interest, it's much easier to go from 1 to 3, or from 3 to 5, or from 5 to 10. And that's what most of us do. We start small and we build to it over time, and then eventually we're saving enough that we really are feeling comfortable and we feel good about our possibilities and our opportunities to retire when we want to and on our own terms. So I'd welcome additional conversation with any of you that are on the call. Maybe your business doesn't offer a retirement plan and you're interested in exploring what that would look like so you could deliver a benefit like this to your employees. Happy to have that conversation. Hopefully we'll have the chance to very soon. And my contact information is right here. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Hopefully this is valuable information. It's something I'm certainly passionate about, and I would hope to have the opportunity to talk more with all of you. Have a great day. Thank you again for your time.